Hello and welcome to Your City. I'm your host, Lynn Turner Fitzgerald. With me today is Rusty Logan. He is the transit manager for the city of Billings. No small job. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, and Randy, we call it the Met bus system. You've got new routes. You've had a lot of changes in the last, 6-8 weeks, something like that?
Yeah, we rolled out new routes on October 2nd. Complete overhaul of the fixed route system. We have a few what I'd call legacy routes that are still kind of in place, but the primary changes to the system we're really looking at putting in place was improving overall headways on the buses. So that means frequency, meaning that the bus goes past a lot more often and a lot more regularly than it used to. Aside from that, we put in a number of community circulators, or neighborhood circulators is what I'd call them. So really making it easier for people to move around in their general area of the city as well, aside from connecting from anywhere from out on Shiloh and King all the way up to Wixon, Main and the Heights and beyond. We put half-hour service that actually stretches all the way across the city for that. We also ended up being able to push out service about an hour and a half later than we'd previously run. Previous ending time, 6:50 p.m. on weekdays, and now we're actually pushing out to about 8:15 p.m. on weekdays as well.
And that's citywide?
That is citywide. We've got essentially what I refer to as the half-hour backbone, but we've got a half-hour route that loops out in the Heights, pretty much connects up to Wixon, Main, comes back down to the downtown transfer center. From there, we have two routes that have half-hour frequency that connect to the Stewart Park transfer center out by West End Target. And then we have two routes that branch out from there that go northwest, West End, and then pretty much the primary King Avenue area of the West End as well.
How many buses are on the road at one time?
So in order to execute this, it actually only takes 14 buses for us to put all this out. Yeah, but that's across, what is that, a 15 to 16 hour service day, so we need twice that number of drivers behind the wheel on any given day to make sure that we can execute all of that. But the big push behind this was really making sure that we were using all of our resources as efficiently and effectively as possible, that we were taking advantage of the increase in federal funding that we saw from the bipartisan infrastructure law, and that we're really responding to what the community wanted from the transit system. Prior to these changes, buses were going past every hour or so, sometimes greater than that because we had some inconsistencies in the departure times. So filling those in, making it so that the bus is going past that specific stop at, say, 6:02, then you can expect it at 7:02, 8:02, 9:02, just making it easier to use the system. But throughout this process, it was probably about it's like a year and a half in the making as far as getting this all out on the street.
Well, it's got to be complicated.
Yeah, it's
a lot of road.
It was. We brought on a consulting team from SRF out of Omaha that worked locally here with Dow Engineering to help us execute this. We did community-wide surveys, we did public meetings, we had a number of presentations to the governing bodies, including City Council, County Commissioners, Planning Board, and so forth. And that's really what drove a lot of the changes that we're putting in place, is what that feedback that we got from the public saying that, hey, we want a transit system that's convenient and usable, and serves us a lot better. So.
Well, now, given that the routes have been beefed up somewhat, do you have new destinations at all?
We cover a lot of the similar areas. We put in more north-south travel than we had previously in the midtown core of Billings. Previously, most of our routes were running parallel east and west, connecting from that downtown to the Stewart Park, but we actually implemented a new route that kind of cuts between it, so you build what's more or less a grid system across the city, so it makes it easier to connect to some of those outlying points. We did end up, unfortunately, drawing back service from a few areas. Southern tip of Billings down by into Maloney Lane wasn't seeing much ridership at all. We tucked it in a little bit up in the Heights as well, too, but that was really to accomplish those headways and keep the 30-minute service on the street.
Well, I was going to ask you that. How do you determine the route? Is it all ridership?
A lot of it's ridership. Some of it is geographics, because if you've driven around Billings, you notice that there's a lot of streets that don't connect to each other.
Or turn into a new street and you just don't even know.
So it's a combination of those two factors. Are we driving through an area where we're not actually picking anybody up? Or are we only getting like one rider a week there or two riders a week there? Is that cost effective to run a bus continually through that area without actually picking anybody up? And the other portion of that then is you connect your your high ridership areas or your high use areas, whether it's a denser residential area to a commercial district or movement around those commercial districts. Figuring out the routes on the streets to connect them there in a timely manner too, because it's taking into consideration everything that you're dealing with. What kind of
Right.
traffic light is there? What kind of traffic control stuff you're dealing
Right.
with? If you're making a right-hand turn or a left-hand turn, or
Well, you know,
yeah.
I want to share with you something I saw just the other day. It was up in the Heights. It was on, I don't know, Lake Elmo.
Okay.
Okay. You had one bus heading out, one coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and the one coming in stopped and let off a rider who was using a walker. So it was taking her, you know, more time to
Yep.
get off the bus. She was supposed to catch the other bus heading the other way, and he waited for her.
Yeah, and we've
He
got
just waited.
yeah, so we've got that. We have the system is designed so that we have set transfer points. So primarily at our transfer centers, but up in the Heights, we now have what we're calling Heights East and West circulators that never actually leave the Heights. So to make that connection, you connect to that connecting downtown bus. So Lake Elmo, you know, there is a lot of traffic on it, but we did designate that as our transfer point because it made the most sense for maintaining those headways. And there's a couple, there's already some existing infrastructure there as far as flashing beacon crosswalks and things such as that. So,
Well, and now I wanted to ask you too about the covered bus waiting areas. We don't have a lot of those. Do you think we'll have more?
yeah, we've got, so we have about 30 different shelters across the city right now. That is one of the big changes that I failed to mention earlier was actually moving the system to what we call designated stops. Previously, the bus system was anywhere along the route, you'd stand at a safe corner, wave at the bus, and they'd pick you up. The definition of a safe corner is a moving target, depending on who you ask, so it could be really ambiguous as to where to catch that bus for people. So number one, moving to designated stops, you know, if I'm at the bus stop, this is where the bus is going to stop and pick me
Right.
up. Number two, when your bus stops are anywhere along a route, you really don't have bus stops. So as a transit organization, didn't have not only
Excuse me, you don't have a bus stop. Was it just a bus pause?
well, it was the bus would stop at the corner on the sidewalk.
Okay,
So we
yeah.
didn't have I don't want to say a responsibility, but we didn't have the ability to maintain each and every corner along that route. When we moved to a designated stop system, I can then write a grant to a granting body and say, hey, I need to improve this stop, this stop, and that stop, so that we can put those accessibility features in, or we can put a bus shelter in, or we can put better lighting in, we can put signage in, things such as that.
Right.
So the plan is, yes, now that we have all of our bus stops designated across the city, we're going to start looking at each and every one of those for
Nice.
improvements. And that'll really be based around a number of factors, whether it's it needs improved accessibility, or there's enough ridership here that we do need a shelter, or we need a bench, we need, you know, improved lighting, anything like that.
Yeah. Well, now during the school year, do you alter routes to accommodate students?
We used to, but we've actually gotten away from that. So one of the things that had to happen with this change is we used to run what were called school tripper routes. And unfortunately, those were slightly in noncompliance with federal requirements.
Oh, oops.
Because as a transit system, we're not allowed to operate specific school bus service because since we are recipients of federal funds, that would be competing with private organizations.
Right.
Such as the local
Yeah.
district's provider that isn't in receipt of federal funds, so it kind of gives us an unfair advantage. So you've got to really hit some very specific check boxes within your community in order for transit to do that. So we dialed back some of those tripper services. It's been a change for a lot of those students that rode our buses because previously it was essentially
Yeah.
what looked like a school bus. So now they're integrated into the overall transit system, making those connections, making the transfers daily as well.
Okay.
So not as many seasonal changes as we would have done in the past. We are trialing a route right now that goes up. It's our circulator, which we have downtown, which is actually a 15-minute bus for most of the day. We circle through downtown, hit the medical corridor, and come right back down through the core downtown. 5 times a day it's running up to the airport to try and connect people up to flights or to essential air services and
Sure.
things like that. But during the summer months, we're also going to deviate over to Skyline Trail once it's finished up there to try and do some recreation connections. So
Oh, that's good.
if that works out for us, we might start looking at other recreation type of connections like that in the summer months as well.
You're going to have a lot of bikes on your bus.
Yeah, and actually each of our buses are equipped with 3-spot bike racks on the nose of them.
Right.
So you can just, it's quick and easy to load up your bike, and then hopefully we can do the hard work before you get up the hill, you can enjoy your ride up there and then coast on back down.
Yeah,
So,
there you go. Yeah.
yeah, that's the thinking behind that.
You know, I admittedly haven't ridden the bus in a very long time. What does it cost?
Our one-way fare for full fare is $2. We do have discounts for individuals with disabilities and seniors, which is actually $1 to ride, and then students or youth are $1.50. We do have monthly ride passes as well. Full fare is only $28 a month for unlimited rides.
Wow.
Senior is and individuals with disabilities is only $12 a month for unlimited rides, and then students you're looking at $21. To purchase those, we've actually got all kinds of different options. We moved over to a digital fare system a few years ago, so you can actually just download a smartphone app, purchase your bus pass right through there. It has your code right on your screen when you get on. We also have smart cards available that you can either purchase from the Met, from Finance at City Hall. We actually have vending machines at each of our transfer centers that you can purchase a smart card from, or even a day pass or a single ride pass. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible because those vending machines will accept credit cards, they'll accept cash payments. They print out even change tickets that you can use in the future to purchase fare products too. So,
Well, you know, we were talking before the interview about our reliance on cars here in Montana, and it's true, we just do.
it is, yep.
Is there a way to convince people to give you a try, to just try it for a week?
Well, yeah, we really, really that's the part of this too, is what we're trying to do for that system is make it usable for the everyday person that wants to say, I don't want to drive my car and try and look for parking downtown, or I don't want to pay for parking downtown anymore. I mean, we're more than happy to have someone who wants to try out the system. There's multiple times that I've just sent out a couple one-ride passes or something to somebody, so they're not even out anything. They just get on the bus, scan it, and away they go. We do have a travel training program in place too, so if you're apprehensive about using the bus system, Met staff will actually go out in the field with you, catch the bus with you, make the journey, help you make those connections and decipher the schedule book and the planning software.
Okay.
One big thing that we that should be going live here shortly, I don't have an exact time frame on it, is integration with Google Maps for trip planning. So with this move to the designated stop system that we have in place, that now allows us to integrate with the navigation app that's in most people's phones, whether it be Google or Apple. How do I get from where I'm at to this point over here? You just select the transit option and it's going to say, oh, walk 5 blocks this way, catch the bus at stop 1022. It's going to be there at 9 after the hour, and then get off at this bus stop and you're there. So, yeah, we're just...
so high-tech.
Yeah, we're trying to just make it as easy as possible. If someone just wants to get in there and say, I've never used the system before.
Right.
How do I use this, and just have all that information available for them.
Okay.
We have, they're a little extensive, but we do have written tutorials on our website too on how to read the schedule, how to anticipate when the bus is going to be at that time spot and everything as well.
Well, we're going to do our best to help people out. So we're going to wrap it up here in the studio, and let's go out to your office, the Met headquarters, and take a look at these buses and how to use them.
All right. Sounds great.
And we'll hopefully see you there as well. We'll be back with you shortly. Welcome back. We are now at the Metroplex with Transit Manager Rusty Logan joining us again. Tell me what goes on in this big, massive garage.
All right, so the Metroplex is actually our primary location. So this houses not just all of our vehicles and all this garage space that you see here, but also our administrative offices are located here. We actually have a full service maintenance shop here as well. So we have a number of mechanics on staff. We have bus lifts here. Everything that goes on for Met Transit, this is the primary locus of control for everything that happens out there across the city. So these bays that we're standing in right now are actually our primary fueling bays. We do have enough room to park our entire fleet indoors at night, so that makes it a lot easier in the wintertime as far as operations goes. They are heated bays as well, actually, so we keep everything in here about 62 degrees. So it just makes getting those vehicles out on the street a lot more efficient every morning.
When was this completed?
So this area that we're standing in, this facility has been pieced together over the years. The primary facility was built in 1983. It was significant expansions occurred in about 1997. That's when Met Transit assumed paratransit operations. Previously, that was contracted out to a provider here in town, but the city opted to internalize that operation. So with that, we actually added another section of bays that are about the same size as this here to the east side of the building, and then actually expanded the administrative area as well.
Okay. And again, tell me, how many active buses do you have?
So our fleet consists of 15 body-on-chassis, which are these green paratransit vans behind us, and then we have 25 heavy duties as well. On any given day, we're running about 14 to 15 heavy-duty buses on the street, and about 10 of those paratransit body-on-chassis.
So this blue bus is a heavy duty.
Yes, the blue bus is a heavy-duty. Yep.
Okay. Well, we're going to discuss some paratransit coming up, but I wondered, for someone who's never actually ridden the bus, how do you do it?
So yeah, it can be a little daunting for the first-time rider. We do actually have a program in place called travel training, where Met staff will come out with you on the street, help you complete that first journey, help you trip plan, help you figure out how you're going to pay, what type of fares you're going to use, and so forth too. We'll actually complete that first trip with you from point A to point B and go back to your the original spot that you started from, just to make it easier on you. But looking at those schedules online, like I said, it can be pretty daunting, but if you flip over that map, it shows the individual time points along that route. But the time points are not the only spots that you can catch the bus along that route. Those are just for your reference, so you know when to be at the bus stop. Each of those time points has an individual stop number listed with it. There's a number of stops between it, so how you read that schedule is you find the time point, the two time points that your stop is between based on that numbering, because they're all numbered in sequential order, so we tried to make that easy for people. So find the stop, two time points that your stop is between, and then just be there at the time of the earlier time point that's there. So the time points are generally about 5 minutes apart or so. So if you're arriving to that bus stop about 5 minutes early, it really helps to ensure that you're going to catch that bus. The time points are pretty consistent for people across the city, so that means if the bus is going past this specific stop at 6:07, it should be going past 7:07, should be going past at 8:07, just sequentially across the day, so it's a little bit easier to understand than it has been in the past. We do have individual route sheets for each and every route with the full schedule for that route, as well as every bus stop listed for that route online as well. So if the map is a little confusing to you, if you're a first-time rider or haven't used transit before, going online and referring to those is a little bit easier. The other thing that we do have is a live tracking app called Passio Go, which does show you real-time location of the bus at any given time. And actually, if you click on an individual route in there and select the timetable that's in there, it actually shows you the complete schedule for that route as well. So there's a lot of different ways for you to get that information that you need. We are currently working with Google Transit as well to get that implemented for trip planning purposes. So that will really make trip planning a lot easier for the general public, because they can pretty much just ask their smartphone, hey, how do I get from where I'm at to that location? Select the transit option, and then it'll actually tell you, go to this bus stop, catch it at this time, get off at this bus stop, walk this distance. So it's pretty straightforward. As far
Leave it to Google, right? So I want to clarify, though, Rusty, if you've got these marked stops along the route, but if a person is not at a marked stop, can they hail a bus?
Not anymore. We prefer that individuals be at the designated stop. There's a lot of reasons why we have the designated stops. Primarily in that regard is that it keeps our buses on time, because if you're stopping at random spots all throughout the city, it's really hard to keep your buses functioning on an established schedule. The other thing that the designated stops allow us to do is, number one, see how many people are utilizing that stop. So then it helps us determine, do we need upgrades to that stop? Do we need to add infrastructure? Does it need a bench? Does it need a shelter? Does it need lighting? Things such as that. Now, that doesn't mean we won't make accommodations for individuals with disabilities. If you have a location near you where the stop is not accessible, where it's causing issues with you boarding, you can definitely call the office and we will make accommodations to pick up an individual at an unmarked stop. But it's all based around individual needs and so forth. So we do require the individual to contact us, and then it's something where they would have to contact us regularly so that we could communicate then to the driver that, hey, Jonathan's going to be waiting over at this spot and needs picked up.
Well, it seems to me the travel training individual who would come and help somebody with their first bus ride might be useful for parents and children.
Yeah, actually we do have a large number of junior high and high school students that utilize the service, so we have done travel training with, a parent and kids as young as, say, 10 years old. that are utilizing the system. We do deal with individuals with disabilities, and we do it for the person that just wants to commute, every day as well, and they are just daunted by it's a scary thing depending on someone else to rely on for your transportation to and from your job. So we find a lot of that too, that people just want that because it's a little more reassuring that, okay, this is how it works now, I understand. Yeah. But when they go out and do that, and it's more than just the scheduling, they're going to talk you through the different fare options that we have as well. Every bus does still accept cash payment for a fare if you just want to pay the $2 or the $1, whatever you qualify for as far as discounts go. The drivers cannot make change, however, though, so if you're going to pay cash, you definitely want to have exact change with you. The other thing that we have is we have the ability to pay with a smart card, and these are reloadables, what they are. So this account is linked specifically to the individual, and then you can reload, say, a monthly pass on this, you can reload a day pass on it, you can reload just a certain number of rides on it, all those different things. You can do that online. You can actually do it at our transfer centers. We have ticket vending machines that are there that you can actually scan your card and reload with a credit card, with cash, whatever you happen to need to do. So when you're using that smart card, we actually do have readers on the bus where you pretty much just tap your smart card against the reader. It flashes green to verify that your pass is valid and you board. The same thing can be done with our smartphone app that's associated with the vendor that provides our smart cards. It's, Umo Mobility is what that smartphone app is called. And in that regard, shows a QR code that you then scan when you get on the bus. Same thing, flashes green, and so forth. So just once again, trying to make it as easy as possible for people to pay and make their trips across the city. So.
It sounds like there's lots of options.
There is. We've tried to open up as many options as possible because we know everybody's got a different life situation. So we want to make sure that we're accommodating for those.
Well, so now on the newer buses, you said you have an infotainment screen?
We do. So we've got a lot of technology that's built into these new buses, aside from the real-time tracking that's provided. The bus itself knows where it's at any given time, so we have built-in voice enunciation, so that means a computer voice announces specific stop locations along the route, and that's really for individuals who maybe have vision impairments or maybe hard of hearing as well. We have screens inside that there's not just the audio announcement, but there's also a visual announcement that comes across on readers that says you're at, North 27th and 3rd Avenue North or something like that, so that individuals have every opportunity to know where they're at on the bus and know when they have to pull that stop cord to get off at their correct stop.
We're still using a stop cord?
Oh, yes, actually, yeah, we still have to have a stop cord because something has to let the driver know that people want to get off the bus, so yeah.
I thought Google would tell it.
So, no, we're not at that point yet, but we do have those individual, and it's really that old style stop cord that you've seen on buses that's still, tried and true technology, so we still use that.
Now, what else does the infotainment system do? Can you watch movies?
Oh, so we don't run movies on the bus, but really what that's for is there are about 19-inch LED screens that are double-sided that are in the center of the bus. So we run announcements from Met Transit there. We'll run announcements from community partners. We actually sell advertising on those screens because with the technology in the bus, we're actually able to geolocate advertising opportunities for individuals that are interested. So say you're driving through the downtown corridor and there's a specific restaurant that wants to advertise just in the downtown area. We can actually build that into there so that only those advertising is showing in that section of town. So,
is there audio that accompanies these advertisements?
We have the ability to do that. We haven't tried it yet, mostly because we don't want our operators to lose their minds hearing the same advertisement 50 times a route.
It could be useful. You could say, okay, now in 2 stops, we're going to be at Fuddruckers or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. That's something we're considering. We're still building out that portion of our advertising program, but with all these different technology systems working together, we have a lot of different opportunities available for us.
Amazing. So now let's talk about the paratransit. You said the city assumed operation of that a number of years ago. Who's eligible to ride?
So paratransit is service for individuals who cannot use the fixed route system, which is the big buses here, for reason of disability generally. So it could be a physical limitation, it could be a cognitive limitation, just any type of disability that would prevent their ability to use it. Some of it can be seasonal. Because sometimes individuals that are using a mobility device would be able to get there during the summertime when there's no snow on the ground, but if the sidewalk isn't shoveled, it's difficult for them then to get to the bus stop. So the way that we do that eligibility process is twofold. There's an application that the individual completes their own information on, and then they have a medical provider complete the second portion to verify the information that they provided. And then based on that, we determine whether or not this individual is indeed incapable of using the fixed route system. It is a pretty exclusive service. There's a very high demand for it. We've seen a significant increase in the last 2 years because people have been moving in more into the urban cores to get access to the services and so forth across the state. So unfortunately, you know, there's sometimes those ones that come in that could be eligible, could not be, and that's when you end up with those ones that are more seasonal. Like, well, we understand this is a limitation, but based on what your medical provider says, you can make it during the summertime, but we'll give you a snow and ice type of certification to get you there during the winter.
Well, do I understand then that this is appointment-based?
It is. So they have to schedule their rides generally at least 24 hours in advance because we have to build out our schedule for the next day, know how many vans we need on the street. The dispatchers have to know where the vans are going at any given time because we have so many demands across the day. We're giving around a heavy day is probably around 240 to 250 rides. So there's a lot of demand out there for it. So making
That's
sure
a lot of demand.
it is. It's hard to keep up some days, but that's one of the reasons why we require people to call in ahead and schedule those so that we can actually build out the schedule for the following day. But it is a point-to-point service, so we are picking up individuals, say, at their house, taking them to the doctor, taking them to the grocery store, dropping them off there, then picking them up again from the front door of that facility and taking them back home.
Wow, that's amazing. Believe it or not, we have run out of time.
Okay.
But I want to thank you again. What an incredible service. Now, if people want more information, where do they go online?
So the easiest thing is to visit www.mettransit.com. We do own that domain somehow, so go straight to that. It'll direct you to our primary webpage and all the information's there. If you don't want to go online, always feel free to call us at 406-657-8218. That gets you right to our primary line, and we have a number of customer service representatives that can give you a hand.
All right, very good. Thanks again, Rusty. And thank you for joining us. Have a great day. We'll catch you again later.